Welcome to Saucy Bites, the podcast serving up all things food service and kitchen innovation, from recipes to equipment and the people driving the industry forward. We bring you the flavor behind the food. Brought to you by Ovention Ovens. Welcome back to Saucy Bites, where we talk food, fire, and occasionally call a little BS on our own industry. Today's guest, David Ivey-Soto. This guy brings the brain strategy, uses words I'll have to look up on Google later, but today we're not letting him stay in a safe zone. We're going to get him out of that and work together. David, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's a beautiful day, and I'm excited to be talking to my good friend, Joe.
Hey man, straight up, we're Saucy Bites. We talk about our industry, but we also care a lot about our stories, a lot about our lives, who our people are, and helping the next generation. Are you ready to have a little bit of fun with it?
Absolutely. Anything I can do to help out the next generation is a great thing.
All right. First, Dave, let's get out and tell the viewers or listeners, exactly about yourself. Let's just tell them where you come from, kind of the education, how long you've spent in culinary, just kind of a short life bio.
Well, I always tell people a lot of times that, when you come to a fork in the road, you're supposed to take one or the other, but I tend to come to the fork of the road and pick up a spoon. I've had a wandering career. I fell into the industry. I needed a job. And I started working out as a server. One thing led to another. I ended up moving to St. Thomas. Didn't have a job. Didn't know anybody. Didn't have a place to stay. And 2 days later, I had 3 jobs. And before you know it, I fell in love. I was knee deep in the industry and couldn't get out. And I think one of the things about this industry is it sort of sucks people in and doesn't let go.
Once you're in, it's hard to get out.
Exactly. And then eventually I went to the Culinary Institute of America. And got the opportunity to stay there and teach for a year. Went back to the Caribbean, came back to the States, and was working in all types of different operations, working both the front of the house and the heart of the house, and ended up doing catering because I was always doing catering on the side, and ended up doing a lot of big time catering here in the DC area. Washington DC is the highest per capita catering city in the world. A lot of it is because there's all stuff going on from out of the area. You know, embassies. There's political things are going on. There's entertainment stuff going on. So I got to work all types of events, from small dinner parties of 4 to big, huge, massive events for 5,000 people, and enjoyed that. Had a blast doing it. And one thing led to another. A friend of mine asked me if I would be willing to do some seminars with him. And as I said, came to a fork in the road. I picked up a spoon and ended up getting into doing presentations for food service operators. And I said, you know what? I think I need to get my MBA. So I went to the College of William & Mary, got my MBA. As far as I know, I'm the only chef to get an MBA from the College of William & Mary. And that led me into opening up my breadth of experience even more. Got into working with the equipment manufacturers and food product manufacturers, even a coffee roaster, and doing consulting work. And here I am, helping people. I've done education. I've done mentoring. My wife and I, we weren't blessed with any children, but I've got tons of kids out there because of the
people. Nice. Well, obviously you got a lot of education, a lot of background in our business. I was just, everybody always gives crap to the back of the house. Everybody says, Anthony Bourdain even said, we're a bunch of misfits. And, growing up, I've seen a lot. I seen it when I first started in this business. I saw a lot of drugs, a lot of partying, a lot of long hours, a lot of burns on the arms, a lot of burns on your hands, and chefs that were just irate people who didn't like themselves, I think, because all they did was scream and yell. I've watched that. I've seen that. I've seen our industry change. But when you hear someone say, we're misfits. We're a group of misfits. What would you say to that?
I would say that yes, we are. And but I don't see that in a negative way.
Mhm.
It's a positive thing because I have the phrase "the chicken don't care." Okay, the chicken don't care how tall you are, how short you are, how fat you are, how skinny you are, what color your hair is, how long it is, if you're bald, what language you speak. The chicken don't care, and so any of us can get in the kitchen, have a lot of fun, as long as the food comes out right. We win. Okay. And, I've had the pleasure one of the things I didn't mention with my bio is I've had the opportunity of working in 15 countries on 5 continents.
Wow.
And, I've been around people, I couldn't even speak to. I speak 3 languages fluently, but there were people that were, working with speaking the different languages, but the chicken don't care. And that's what's awesome about this. And that's why, yes, it is a bunch of misfits. But it's you gotta have a little bit of brains for you, okay? And a little ADHD doesn't hurt,
I
okay?
think we all
Uh,
have that in the chef world.
if you think of a traditional, kitchen lineup, right? You got a 6-burner stove, you got a belly oven, you got a salamander, you got a 2-basket fryer, you got a double-deck oven, you got a double-deck steamer, and then behind you, you've got this wheel and a cutting board.
Yeah.
All these tickets coming off that wheel and all these different pieces of equipment. If you don't have ADHD, it's hard to do it. If you got ADHD, it's a buzz,
Right?
okay?
Everybody says, why did you love the kitchen so much for me in Expo? And I said, when you Expo, my hand goes here, my hand goes up here. I got to turn around, talk to the server. I got to go here. I said, if I didn't have ADHD, there was no way I'd pull off all this stuff. So it actually
Exactly, so
calms me.
it does calm you,
Yep.
but that's what you're talking about all the different, lifestyle issues that we have in the kitchen.
Yep.
You know, uh, yes, you have that buzz. I remember, you're prepping and it's like 3 o'clock, then it's 3:30, then it's 4 o'clock, then it's 4:30, and then all of a sudden it's 5 o'clock and the first tickets start coming in.
Yeah. And then it's 10
And
o'clock.
the little that printer would go off and,
Printer nightmares.
you know, then all of a sudden you look at your watch and it's like, "Oh, it's 10:30."
Yep.
You didn't stop to go to the bathroom, you didn't stop to do anything, you just kept going, kept going, kept going, kept going, kept going, kept going, okay? And that time from 5 to 10:30 or whatever that service window is a blur,
Hmm.
and it's awesome. But then we
Yeah.
get off and we're on this
The
high,
adrenaline.
and that adrenaline and everything, and then it takes a little while for us to settle down a little bit, but once we're settled down, it's not a big deal, and, you know, th that's another thing about the kitchen, is you said it's a bunch of misfits.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of work with the military, and there, to a certain extent, there's a lot of misfits in the military,
Yeah.
uh, and, uh and people from all over, different
Yeah.
backgrounds, different
That's true.
ethnic backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, different socioeconomic backgrounds, different education levels,
Yeah.
all these kinds of things. But you start to mesh and you start to pull little pranks. If you watch some of these war movies, you see these band of brothers, right? That they
Yep.
develop these relationships and they're really strong relationships, and they razz each other and they have a little bit of fun. You know, remember putting an egg in the ladle, it
Yeah.
reaches up, they get a handful of that, or, all these little tricks that we would do to each other,
Yeah.
but that's part of that
Walking,
camaraderie because it's a bond, you
yeah.
know,
Yeah. Oh,
and
absolutely.
all those plates, you got the entremetier who's doing the vegetables, you got the saucier who's got the sauces, you got the fish is coming from one side, the meat is coming from another, and all that food has got to get on that plate,
Yep.
and you got to rely on everybody.
Truly a brigade
And
system.
that is what is so cool about our industry is you can't do it by yourself. Julia Child says nobody can run a kitchen by themselves.
Mhm.
It's got to be a team.
It's a team. Yeah.
And I think that's what's really powerful about our industry is, as a misfit, you all of a sudden find a place that you can fit in.
Oh, totally. You couldn't have said it better. It's a
And
home for the misfits, I think.
exactly,
It's
because
a home,
you
it's a friendship,
you're all thrown
it's
in
a
there
bond.
together
Yeah,
and
no
create
doubt.
those.
When, as I said before, we have a lot of chefs that get themselves in trouble. They're doing, things that they shouldn't, drinking, alcohol, drugs. They get into that a lot. I want to ask the question, what's there for them to help? I've always felt like, my brother says that he went to war, and when he got back home, no one taught him how to be a civilian. They taught him how to go over there and be in war. But when he got back, he didn't know how to be a civilian. How can a chef become a civilian, if you will, outside of work?
Yeah, that's a really good point that, that, in the military, you have that cocoon, okay?
Yep.
You're told when to get up, you're told where to be, you're told when to go to bed, when to eat, where to eat, all that kind of stuff, and it's you have that regiment, and then you go to the civilian world, and all of a sudden you gotta, fend for
Different
yourself in a
world.
different way.
Yep.
And yeah, our industry does need a little bit of help with that. There are different organizations, there's different,
Yeah.
Adam Lamb, got a great, podcast, that does stuff dealing with people with PTSD,
Hmm.
from the industry,
Hmm.
uh, and there's a bunch of other people that are doing stuff. The key is to understand one major factor. It's a sign of strength to ask for help,
Never
and,
said it better. Heard
you
it
know,
better. It is.
if you need help, ask for it, okay? It's not a it Look, I lived with allergies for a bunch of years I didn't know
Mhm.
that I had, and then once I found out I had these food allergies, my life changed
Yeah. Yep.
because now I knew what was making me not feel good,
Yeah. Yep.
and knowing is really half the battle. In fact, it is the very essence of the battle, because once you know, then you can do something about it,
Yeah.
and if you don't know, and if other people don't know, then you're not gonna, you're not gonna be, successful with it. I'm
Yeah.
allergic to coffee, believe it or not. I don't like the taste of it,
Sorry about that.
that kind of stuff. And quite frankly, do you think I need caffeine?
No, yeah, me and you eat both. We're in the
Uh,
same boat on that one.
and but if I don't tell people that I'm allergic to coffee, they're gonna, make a big pot of coffee and say, "Hey, you ready for?" No, okay. Uh, so when you have a problem, it's also important that you let other people know,
Mhm.
"Hey, I've got this problem."
Yeah,
Okay?
absolutely. I mean, that's
And
where we go with it. But if you're in this industry, how long have you been in the industry?
more than 40 years, and we'll leave it at that.
Okay. I'm going to ask you two questions. If you weren't a chef, what would you have been? And what did you want to be as a little kid? So not as when you got to college or you got out of high school, where did you want to go if you weren't a chef? But when you were a little kid, also, what did you tell your parents you wanted to be?
So, uh, I did go off to college with the intentions of pursuing a career, and my career, passion was, or my idea of the career I wanted was to be a diplomat. To be an
Mhm.
international diplomat, getting to travel the world and making a difference, for the United States in other countries. And that was really where I wanted to be. Uh, as I said, I speak several different languages and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? I found out that in the kitchen we can do sort of the same thing. Uh, there is nothing more intimate than breaking bread with somebody.
Absolutely. No doubt.
Okay. And no matter which religion are a
Follow.
part of, okay, food is a central part of every celebration within religion.
Yeah.
Even the act of fasting has food, the
Yeah.
absence of it has part,
Yeah.
okay? So food is one of those things that brings people together.
Absolutely.
And so I'm still the diplomat. I've
Yeah.
still got
Yeah.
to travel the world. I just did
Yeah.
it in a different way.
Yeah.
Uh, and if I, if somebody said, "Hey, what would you want to do now?" You know, I love what I do. I love
Yeah.
being a part of the our industry. I love being a leader in our industry. I like being able to share, and as we were talking about at the very beginning, making a difference for the next generation of people
Yeah.
coming into our industry, giving them, uh, a reality check at the same
Mhm.
time as saying, "Hey, this is a good place to be."
Yeah, absolutely. So I also talk to, a lot of the youth, a lot of the education. I speak at some of the culinary schools, and I find it really odd because I'm gonna throw it out here to you. And I guess what I would say is someone entering the culinary college, if you had to talk with them first, everyone that I spoke with after, I said, "What do you want to do with your culinary degree? Where do you?" They were like, "I am going to be the next Food Network star. I'm going to have my own show, or I'm opening my restaurant. As soon as I get out of here, man, it's going to be fine dining. I'm going to do this. I've got all these plans this big restaurant that I want and fine dining." Or they want to be a food stylist. No one says, I want to be a line cook. No one says, I want to be a pastry cook, a pastry chef. No one says, I want to be an expediter, but yet they're in culinary school. Explain to me that one. I mean, I know our new world, the world is TV and culinary and cooking on television, but what do you say to that kid before he gets there?
Well, nobody
Hmm.
joins going back to a military analogy, nobody joins the military to be a general,
Yeah.
okay? You don't enter the military as a general, okay?
Yeah.
It takes a while to get there. You gotta go through that process, and
Yeah.
our industry requires us to go through that process. Now, the culinary school, what it's going to do is going to provide that understanding of the industry, the knowledge of cooking in general.
Yeah.
uh it's going to give that intelligence to be able to become a leader and a manager, and eventually maybe own their own restaurant,
Mhm.
or lead their own kitchen brigade, or own, maybe work for several different restaurants, or whatever it might be, or working for a catering company, and maybe they will start their own business.
Yeah.
uh but culinary school, if when I give people advice about going to culinary school, I always say work a summer
Yeah.
or 2 before you go,
Absolutely. Yep.
because quite frankly, you don't want to be making pesto for the very first time in class.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, you don't want to be making anglaise for the first
Yeah.
time. You
Yeah.
want to
No.
experience it. You want to be honing those skills
Yeah. Yep.
in culinary school, not learning them for the first time. Sure, product ID and a few things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's gonna be things you're gonna learn for the first time in culinary school. Absolutely. But you wanna have some background before you go to culinary
Yeah.
school. People who do a high school program and then go to culinary school right after that, at least they have that
Yeah,
foundation,
they have
so
the
that's
foundation.
really good.
Yeah.
I was fortunate. I'd been in the industry for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years before I
Yeah.
went to culinary school.
Yeah.
So, I had that. When I went to the CIA, I already knew. Actually had already been a partner in a restaurant, small
Yeah.
little, restaurant in the Caribbean, but, yeah, I had already been
So you don't yeah.
involved with that, and yes, then when I was at school, it just helped me learn a few more and hone those skills and to become better.
Hmm.
You gotta be a sponge in this industry.
Yeah.
Uh, one of the great things about our industry, we have to screw up,
Yeah.
okay? You have to, I'll use the example of the turkey, okay? Most people freak out making Thanksgiving turkey. Why? Because the last time they did it was a year ago, and they may or may not remember what they did or didn't do right a year ago and what they
Mhm.
want to do better this year. Uh, and quite frankly, a lot of us have a hard time remembering what we had for breakfast 3 days ago, much less what we did a year ago when we were
Yeah.
making that turkey.
Yeah.
And that's why people freak out to roast a turkey. We in our industry, we roast turkeys often enough
Oh,
that we
yeah.
can hone those skills and we can make those adjustments. And you
Yeah.
can say, okay, 200 degrees for 8 hours. Yeah, that didn't work. 450 degrees for 4 hours. Yeah, that didn't work. And
Yeah.
you start to work on those adjustments. And if you ask 10 chefs how to roast a turkey, you will get at least 11 answers
Yeah. I would
because
agree with that. Yep.
it's about
And
how
there's
you
11 different, and there's 20 different ways you can do it.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
it's based on equipment, based on the technology, based on the outcome, based
Yep.
on all those different things. You know, you can sous vide your turkey, you
Yep.
can brine it, you can grill it, you can deep fry it. There's a
Smoke it.
lot of ways to do it. What's the outcome?
Yep.
And you you can't be afraid to make mistakes in our industry.
Yeah.
The people who fail in our industry are the ones that don't make mistakes.
I could see that. Going back from when you were back, I'm not for sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember at one time the ACF used to have a apprentice program, pretty much in lieu maybe of culinary school back in the day. If it was now, I don't first of all, I don't know if that program still exists, but if
There is
it
still an
did,
ACF apprenticeship program.
I'm sorry.
There is still an ACF
Okay.
apprenticeship,
Is
and it's
that equivalent
what
to you? Is that equivalent or better than going to culinary school?
for different people, different results.
Why?
Okay. And I also know a lot of people that did both.
Okay.
Okay. Um, they provide different skill sets for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, I am a big fan of the apprenticeship program
Yeah.
for the vast majority of people. Because the apprenticeship program is going to give you hands-on experience of doing those things under the tutelage of one or several mentors that are
Yeah.
going to walk you through that process of learning and building. And by the way, you make a little bit of money while you're doing it, because culinary school is not cheap.
Yeah.
Uh, and so, quite frankly, for the vast majority of people, the apprenticeship program is actually the better way to go.
Yeah.
Uh, Not to say that culinary schools are bad. They're awesome.
Yeah.
It's a different experience. Quite frankly, think about it. Uh, you know, you can go to Georgia Tech or you know, some great engineering school and learn engineering, or
Yeah.
you can go through the apprenticeship program and become an engineer, electrical engineer, for example,
Yeah.
doing that. I mean, both are great ways to build your career. They're
Yeah.
going to take you in a different place at the end of
Different
the day.
directions. Yeah, I went through the school of hard knocks. So I went before I ever entered culinary school. I always tell people I knew more before culinary school than I did after. Meaning, you know, the school of hard knocks is totally different than being taught in a class and learning knife skills and learning, you know, I always made a joke too for the higher end culinary schools that, you know, I worked with equipment there that I would never get the chance to work with in a mom and pop restaurant. I got 20-year-old fryers, 20-year-old ovens, grills. And then at school, I'm like, I got all this high tech equipment and combis and nice things. I get back to the kitchen. I'm like, where's all that good equipment at? Where's all that good equipment? So I got a little bit of both when I went to culinary school and then came back, but I'm a lifer. Similar to what you said, the reason why I'm in the 100% the reason why I'm in this business is my mother. She was a very strong Southern cook. And as a kid, I would literally watch my mom, kind of a rough household. So I would watch my mom bring in food. We had the dining room. She had the kitchen and you still had the dining room. So if it was Thanksgiving, it was Christmas, if it was Sunday dinner, that's where it was served on the Sunday plates, you know. But
Yep.
I would see mom bring out a platter and say we had guests over. One was going through a divorce. One just got a DUI. One's this. One can't do this. Everybody's got all these worries going on in their head, but they're trying to just sit and be with their people and be friends. When my mother would walk in with that tray, no matter what it would be, the room lit up. It just lit up. And I said right there, I was like, I want to be a part of that. That is where Joe wants to be, to make people smile, to entertain them, and to feed their bellies, because that nourishment. I mean, think about that one. I mean, as a person, I knew right there that I would never leave that type of atmosphere. And my mom, I learned from my mom first, Southern cast iron cooking. I still use a cast iron probably more than most people. But I love it. And that's the energy and that I feel with you is that energy to help, to care, to consult, to live, to give back. Um, how do you see yourself as you're moving on, say retiring, getting up? How would you like to do that further with kids, with people? How would you like to do that to share your journey?
Well, uh, similar in the similar type of thing. Let me go back for a second. So,
Hmm.
um, I grew up in the same type of environment. Okay,
Yeah,
we always had extra food. Always were bringing home people to the house. Our house was a safe house. Okay,
yeah, yep.
anybody wanted to come over,
Could eat.
we could bring people over. I never had
Yeah,
to call my mom and say, "Hey, can I bring Joe over for
and they
dinner?"
kept. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, there was always plenty of food, and that was never an issue. My grandmother was an amazing cook. Uh, she was an amazing butcher, and
nice.
in fact, it was years after I moved out of the house and I was doing my own grocery shopping that I found out you could buy chicken parts. We always bought whole
I
chickens and
broke them
we
down.
broke
Yep,
them down
yep.
and, um, and we made stock and we did all this, and, we always created that community as you were talking about before.
Yep,
Everybody's worries just
just for a
wash
little bit.
away,
Doesn't matter.
okay?
Yep.
And, uh, we just moved into a new community, but the community I lived in before and the community I lived in before that, I would roll out my tent into the driveway, take out my grill, put out some tables, and I would cook and bring everybody from the neighborhood together.
Yeah, awesome.
And we would create this community.
Hmm.
And that, actually in the last community that I lived in, you know, people said all the time we were like family. And that a
Yeah,
lot of it was what Lisa and I did by doing that cooking in the driveway and bringing
yeah,
people over and that to me, the sense of community and everybody's
yeah,
worries are gone. To me, that's really important. And, as I said, chefs don't retire,
yeah. It's your life.
teachers don't retire. My mom, she taught, God rest her soul, until the last year that she was alive. Um Because people still need to learn and people still need to be fed.
Yeah,
So,
they need to
yep,
get it from you. Yeah,
and if I can cook for somebody, I'm going to,
yeah. Oh, for life. You got it. All right,
okay?
David. We spent some good time together. We've hung out. We're gonna hang out some more. I'll probably see you at I'll see you at the National Restaurant Show in Chicago coming up here in
Absolutely.
May, middle of the May. So I'm gonna do something that I do with everybody, and this last part is just a quick fire round. Quick fire
Okay,
really means one. I just need one word, right? I'm gonna ask you a question, and you give me now. I ask some people, and they go on for 5 minutes. Don't. This is one word.
one word, okay.
One word. All right. Let's see here. Coffee or something stronger?
Well, I'm allergic to coffee,
Ah,
so, well, no coffee.
what's your drink of choice then?
Uh, well, Fresca, but it doesn't have any
Oh, that's
caffeine.
right, Fresca. I knew that one. What's the most overrated chef-driven concept?
Uh, smash burgers,
There's plenty of them. What underrated food that deserves respect?
tacos.
I don't know if that's underrated, but because that's my favorite food. But yeah,
But it needs more respect.
yes. Okay, I'll give it respect. Would you rather be in a boardroom or a line cook for a day?
Line cook.
One food you refuse to eat, not due to allergies, just you refuse to eat.
Chicken with tarragon.
Okay,
It
that
just me, that combination
doesn't
doesn't work.
match.
It doesn't work.
I would
And I know it's a
totally,
classic combination, but it
yeah,
just doesn't work for me.
I would go right with you on that one. I would go right. Me and you have both traveled a lot. We've been across it. What is the best airport meal you've ever had in an airport?
Minneapolis Airport, I think it's called the Split Rock Cafe or Split Rock Restaurant or
Hmm.
something like uh I walked in, the place was packed. There was a weather delay, of course, Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Uh and I had to sit all the way at the end of the bar, right next to the service station. And it was chaotic and everything. They hand me this like, steakhouse type restaurant menu, leather bound and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, whoa, check
Find out
this
at the
out.
airport.
And I ended up getting a cedar plank salmon, had a wonderful glass of wine, and I was like, oh, my flight's not ready to leave yet. And they said, hey, you need to have dessert. And I don't remember exactly what the dessert was,
Yeah.
but I do remember that it was really good and I ate it. And I normally don't. I mean, I love chocolate and yes, I do like a little sweet at the end of the meal, but I don't go out of my way to say, "Hey, I want dessert."
Yeah,
Boy,
yeah, yeah.
that
Yeah.
that was
Yeah,
a
I'm the
great
same way.
experience, and every time that I would go through Minneapolis Airport, if I had time, I would stop off there and
Stop
sit
and
at
do
the
it.
same spot at the end of the bar by the service station and have a meal there.
All righty. Well, David, again, thank you for your time. Guys, family, viewers, listeners, David and I go back a long way. We hope you really enjoy some of the knowledge, some of the things that we're able to share with you guys here on Saucy Bites. We want to thank Ovention Ovens for being our sponsor. I'm the corporate chef for them. David knows them real well. Check them out. Check us out. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you next time.